Gamers, gals, non-binary pals. It's your favorite last turns ruling aficionado here. I wanted to give this document a little read. Very, very interesting. I want to see just how fucked up and evil last turn rulings can get. I mean, this was updated in 2020 by like a pretty respectable judge. I don't know if Mika is like a judge now for Konami or like a full-time staffer, but if you are, Godspeed. So, let's give it a quick skim. If you guys don't know what last turn actually does, we can just read the text. This card can only be activated during your opponent's turn when your life points are 1,000 or less. Select one monster on your side of the field and send all other cards on the field and in their respective owner's hands to the graveyards. After that, your opponent selects and special summons one monster from their deck in face-up attack position and attacks your selected monster, and any battle damage from this battle is treated as 0. The player whose monster remains alone on the field at the end phase of this turn wins the duel. Any other case results in a draw. Okay, so already it's got a lot of issues. It is so silly. Although this card text seems to be comprehensible, even in its Google translated form from the OCG version, the rulings following it are not. This is due to several reasons, which I shall now list. Lack of conjunctions in PSHE. I mean, what? This is like a paragraph of text. These are... There's no rhyme. There's no reason. Like, my English teacher in 3rd grade would have given me an F. It's stupid. Why does it work that way? Nonsensical ruling history. Konami TCG doesn't issue rulings. Previously, the game was run by Upper Deck Entertainment, UDE, who would answer various ruling questions about the game, much in the way that Konami of Japan does. However, many of these rulings don't apply to modern game, and many didn't make sense at the time. Again, people's knowledge, like 20 years ago, let's just say our current ruling aficionados kind of eclipsed them by like a couple thousand light years. This applies not only to last turn, but many other card interactions. Since the majority of ruling sources we have on the card are UDE based, a lot of them are contradictory. Again, when you really think about the fact that the internet was not like a big thing back then, we can kind of see that rulings for cards that are complicated like this are just very, very necessary. Text from 1973. I think that's when like my parents were born. The card itself is weird. As aforementioned, last turn is a very special card with very special and unusual rules. In reality, there are only 2 effective quirks to the card. It applies effects after it resolves, and it forces the monsters to battle, but can be activated in any phase. Alright, so we're on to this little chunk where everything should resolve as like a post-chain thingy-majiggy. So, effectively, based on this thing where all the actions happen after last turn resolves, and here we're gonna see this very cool phrase. After we do a bunch of effects, a special battle phase occurs. What does that even mean? This doesn't mean anything. What is a special battle phase? Why? It's just so silly. The victory check of last turn is applied, sets up several effects, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Fun fact, it doesn't target. So you can select monsters that are like unaffected, I guess. You know, that's cool. Or monsters that can't be targeted. That's pretty cool. That's swag. So after sending all cards on the hand or field to the graveyard, other than chosen but not targeted monster, we should go straight to the battle phase, right? No. Okay, let's see fuck-ass paragraph 2. Suppose that ceasefire is activated and last turn is chained to it. In this case, last turn resolves and everything gets sent. Then What? Resolve the effect of... Okay, so I go Chainlink 1, fucking Ferret Flames, Chainlink 2 last turn. What the fuck? The turn player that special summons a monster for last turn, then sending... Why are things happening mid-chain? What's happening here is quite strange. The lingering effect of last turn doesn't resolve when this card resolves. It's not clear when it should resolve either. We can gather that the lingering effect part of the card resolves as soon as the current chain ends. This is backed up by further rulings. As last turn sends out cards before the special summon for last turn is performed, monster effects like Despair from the Dark, Elephant Statue of Disaster, and Regenerating Mummy will activate. So the ongoing chain must finish resolving first. Any triggers effects that would recur after last turn must resolve first. And further trigger effects must resolve first. So you have to resolve any triggers before you actually enter the battle. So if you go like... So if there's a Sangan, like, on the field hypothetically, your opponent searches. So if a summon a monster with effect destroy a card on the field can work. Maybe? Theoretically, because it's a trigger that should... Because you have to resolve all triggers before you enter the battle phase, right? Because of these new gold mines, we can deduce this text might be like this. Send all cards other one monster recalled. As soon as this resolves, and there is no ongoing chain, you enter the special battle phase and do thingies. Finally, as a minor adjustment... Wait. But there's no ongoing chain, but the special summon monster? But what if there's a new ongoing chain because the monster has an on-summon effect? What? There's an OCG ruling saying that not all cards have to be sent to the graveyard to resolve. This is also a good way to introduce the OCG wiki as a good list of sources. Sending to the graveyard is part of the effect, so wild card is not sent to the graveyard. What if you will be protected with Forbidden Lance? The targeted monster will not be sent to the graveyard by last turn. So our new card text is send as many as possible, other than one, and as soon as this effect resolves and there's no ongoing chain. Okay, sure. So unaffected monsters. So if you can't send anything, it doesn't resolve. But you have to send an what's it called? An unaffected monster has to stay effectively. Not many cards in the game produce an additional battle phase. If your opponent activates last turn and you special summon a monster that can attack twice, it can attack twice during the battle phase. Important if the opponent has a monster like Big... What the fuck is Big Core? At the end of the damage step, if this card battled, remove one counter from this card. If you cannot, destroy it. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god, man. Ain't no way. I have no further comments on anything that occurs in the battle phase. Not even tips about getting your opponent's big core. But I would like to discuss the fact that nothing about summoning a monster this way would cause it to have incorrect activation timing. When you special summon Dark Magician of Chaos of last turn, you can activate a Demox effect to like add back from grave. Okay, that makes kind of sense. This gives us a clue to where the conjunction should be. Since it does not give an incorrect activation timing, we can assume it's either and, also, or and if you do. However, this is not true for the part where it applies after it's sent to the great... What does that mean? The effect in hand of Glassjaw is sent to the graveyard time. Okay, what does Glassjaw do? When this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target one monster in your graveyard, one Battling Boxer, and revive it. Okay. So if it's sent to the graveyard off of last turn, what happens? No, we will continue to special summon monsters, so the effect of Glassjaw is not activated, but it can trigger because everything gets sent for effect. But the effect is to... But everything gets sent for effect. But at the same time, if it's not sent for effect, it will revive itself? What? Because we know that cards, when they go to the graveyard, they'll trigger. Like we saw earlier with Regenerating Mummy and like Despair from the Dark. But why wouldn't Glassjaw trigger? Oh, it misses timing? I think that's the last thing about it. Okay. Send as many cards in its hand or field as possible, other than a monster you control. Then, as soon as there's no ongoing chain, immediately after this effect resolves, your opponent specials a monster, and if they do, the next attack becomes an additional battle phase. Also, skip to that phase. It gets summoned and sent during the same trigger. No, we're talking about if like Glassjaw is in hand. Okay. This ruling from UD states that the win condition does not require the battle phase to happen in order for the check to happen. So if you skip it with like Soul Exchange or Thunder of Ruler, you resolve as much as possible, including the victory check. You can activate last turn if Soul Exchange is skipping your battle phase, but not if Frozen Soul is skipping your battle phase. What the fuck is Frozen Soul? What the fuck? What does this say? This card's probably older than I am. Boomer. Boomer. Okay, so it skips your opponent's battle phase. So if I activate Frozen Soul, I can't activate last turn. Skip your opponent's next battle phase. Okay. Thunder of Ruler. There is no battle phase this turn, but they do the same thing. You need to be able to conduct a battle phase. You can't activate last turn. Okay, so you can't activate last turn. The Thunder of Ruler is already being applied. But if it is chained to last turn, you will still apply the victory check. Either we used multi-part effects, or we can simply place the win condition above the rest of the text so it applies the lingering... I'm gonna fucking have a heart attack. Team BC Classic Frozen Soul video. Is this like a picture of your cock?
What's up, YouTube? Mungo Harris here for Team TBC. And today, got a video for you guys about Know Your Ruins. This card came up the other day, or today for me on DN, called Frozen Soul. So, what Frozen Soul does is, when your life points are at least 2,000 lower than your opponent's skips their next battle phase. Now, why would this card be important? I played against the Final Countdown deck, and like this card is pretty good in Final Countdown. It's naturally activate Final Countdown, go down 2,000 life points, instant Frozen Soul. It's instant one turn, which you're gonna get. Well, with Final Countdown, that's 2 turns because every turn that your opponent skips, that's 10. And the way I work this card is because you actually need to enter your battle phase in order to skip the battle phase.
Okay. Oh my god, it's like runic cards. Frozen Soul was worded in a way that allows itself to be activated the turn it's set? Like... Oh my god, don't, oh no. Don't, no. It's a trap card. It has to have a pre-applied condition, right?
There's a strange ruling where if you don't conduct your battle phase...
Oh yeah, okay.
After Frozen Soul is activated, then you skip your next battle phase. It kind of makes sense because you have...
You have to attempt to enter a battle phase, right?
Soul, and you skip your next
it's like a
battle
runic
phase,
card.
but you said it's just set and passed. You know, you didn't enter your battle phase, so why shouldn't you skip it? But we've got some rule sharks on DN, of course. They're real
DN, of
because
course.
what they decide to do is they're like, wait, well, you didn't attack, so you're not gonna, I'm not gonna give you this turn. Like, fuck you. Like, it's just total dick move. He went, well, and the next turn I attacked. I set up a Blade Armor Ninja. I had a Jowgen guy in the field. I had a Alias. So I was like, attack for game. And he was like, we can't with Frozen Soul. And I'm like, why not? Because you can control your battle phase last turn. So, hope this video helped you guys know about these cards, these strange situations that can come up.
Alright, Vlad, I think I understand. Are my notes correct? Anyways, back to the document. Okay, so you have to enter a special battle phase. Okay, if your opponent's life points is 1,000 or less, send as many cards in and blah blah blah. Then immediately after this effect resolve, as soon as there is no ongoing chain, your opponent's special summons will launch from their deck and attack position. And if they do, the next phase becomes an additional battle phase. Also skip to that phase. During this battle phase, blah 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 blah, and the monster doesn't can attack. And also during the end phase, only blah 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 blah. Okay, let's start with this on forcing monsters to battle. If last turn is activated during the draw phase, resolve the effect. Special summon, initiate the special battle phase, and then continue with the draw phase. The turn player can have a normal battle phase later. The additional battle phase is not the normal battle phase, and you return to the same phase you were. So you basically create a pocket dimension. What happens if 2 cards that skip the battle phase? They stack, I'm pretty sure. Effects like Cosmo Forerunner will possibly have a chance to activate twice in a turn? Yeah, like the Forerunner effect, like gain 1,000 life points, right? But is returning to a phase creating a new phase? Like, does last turn return you to a phase or create a phase? What happens if you chain multiple last turns to each other? Good question. I mean, if your opponent activates last turn, then you should be able to activate last turn. If your opponent goes chain link 1 last turn, you go chain link 2 last turn. Your last turn will trigger first and send everything, and your opponent just fizzles their last turn. Fizzle! Oh, I'm going to Super L. The last turn can, like, I'm pretty sure your opponent would still apply their victory check for last turn, because it applies as much as possible, right? But it's a then, so it's a then. So because you can't, because of A then B, if you can't resolve the B, I mean, if you can't resolve A, you stop. So you just don't do B. But you also apply as much as possible because of the conjunctive. Oh my god. The trigger, can you? Partner of the battle phase. This card trigger you can. What the fuck is weather report? Wait, isn't this the card that, like, if you have like swords of revealing light, it like destroys it and gives you like an additional battle phase? I had this card as a kid. Yes. Yes. Jowgen time. Last turn is not a card that special summons when it resolves. Therefore, you can activate last turn even when Jowgen is face up on the field. If the player activating last turn controls Jowgen the Spiritualist and selects it as the monster to keep, the opponent cannot special summon Jowgen special summon for last turn, and there will be no special battle phase. However, the victory check is still applied in the end phase, which makes sense because you apply as much as possible. Because effectively, it is a apply as much as possible conjunctive in regards to the victory check condition. It's like an A, B, C, D, E, and F, but all you care about is resolving F. But again, this is not true anymore, at least currently. The Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Secretary's response concerning uncertain rulings as follows. We would appreciate it if you could proceed at the discretion of the judge during the tournament. It essentially means, we don't know, Lamau. The following rules are undecided. It is unknown whether or not you can activate or apply any effect of it after your opponent's resolve Pot of Duality or controls Fossil Dino or Vanity Sphere or whatever. It is unknown whether or not you can activate it or apply it of it when your opponent has 0 cards in deck, since they cannot special summon. But what if they have a card in their hand? But what if your opponent has a card in their hand that returns cards to their deck? I guess like this is now solved because we now have the Jowgen ruling. If your opponent, like, you cannot, wait, what's it called? It's like your opponent has to be able to special summon a monster? Okay, no. It isn't allowed to special summon. Your opponent special summons. Effects that special summon cannot be activated. That player must perform the summon is not allowed to. So technically, if your opponent has no cards in their deck, you can still activate last turn, even though they're allowed to special summon. They just can't because they don't have cards in deck. Lamau. There is no contrary ruling. Alright. During your opponent's turn, if your life point is 1,000 or less, this is the condition activation. Send as many cards in the field to the graveyard other than one monster you control. Now everything is going to be an additional effect. Okay. If Squamata was sent to the graveyard, if you send like a Shaddoll monster, it would create a new chain. Then there are no more chains to resolve. This is a lingering effect? Lingering? Dog. This is what Pac was talking about when he said ban the lingering floodgates. Ban Droll. Ban Lancia. Ban last turn lingering effect to attack. Okay, why not? Optional when effects will have incorrect activation timings. Okay, so cards can miss timing on their last turn, huh? Good to know. These are all simultaneous conjunctions, so any monster summon will have the correct activation timing. Example, Armageddon Knight can activate its effect. This is a second lingering. After the second after the additional battle phase occurs, return to a copy of the phase? But it's, how do you return to a copy? Wouldn't you just go back to the same phase? Do you progress forward in time or backwards into a duplicate universe? What? What the fuck is this? Oh my god. New main one? Yes, but is it a new main one that you are proceeding into, or are you going back? Because again, if you look at a card like Cosmo Forerunner, during your standby phase, you get 1,000 life points. So are you going back to your original standby phase? Or are you going to a new standby phase that is a copy of the current standby phase? I don't know. Because the copy is not the original. So Forerunner should trigger. But if we're returning, we should be returning to the original phase. There's a hole in my cheese. Okay, at least this effect makes sense. You might be able to activate Royal Oppression. No. Activate... Yes, you should be able to negate it with Ash. This also negates the special battle phase. Yeah, I fucking hope so. You can't use Horn of Heaven to negate the summon. In a similar manner, you can Solemn Warning, but you can't negate the summon that happens... What? What does this mean? You can't negate the summon that happens afterwards. Note that negating the activation would cause the summon to not happen anyways. What the fuck? Closing statement. I am sick and tired of this and have no further comments regarding this. Thank you, Mika of 2020, for making this. I think this was the worst video I've ever made. I think I'm done making videos for the rest of my human existence. I like how so many questions got answered, yet at the same time, so many more questions got asked. This is the stupidest thing. Why can you solemn this, but it doesn't work? I don't know. Just fuck it. I don't know, man. I hate my life. Fuck last turn. Why did I ever win a Genesis event with this? Goodbye forever. Like, actually, this time.